Good evening. There are two events we have to discuss with you. First of all, there has been a school shooting. Two are injured at a school in Denver, Colorado. We're learning more. At least two are injured. We don't know. Let me just see if I can find. What's the name of the school? I don't have the name of the school just yet. Evergreen. Evergreen High School in Colorado. It is now three injured. Not certain how many shooters. So that's going on in Colorado. Meanwhile, also, let's. Charlie Kirk has been shot during a debate at Utah University. It was a Turning Point USA debate. Turning Point USA is a far-right organization. You've heard of them. You've seen them before. They have I believe they're the ones who do the straw poll, which is very influential in picking the Republican nominee. The Turning Points, we've played a lot from their various, at least once a year they have a big thing, and they have lots of meetings and they sponsor lots of events. He co-founded it. He was speaking at a Turning Point debate, we believe it was, at Utah University today. He was shot through the neck. The wound appears right here in the neck. It appears to have struck his the vein going up to the head. There was a tremendous amount of blood, which if it hit that's what it looks like from here. We've heard one person from Turning Points say that it does not look good. He is in the hospital. The White House is reportedly, quote, stunned by the news. He is very influential and a close personal friend of Donald J. Trump. So, once again, Charlie Kirk, co-founder of Turning Point USA, was shot while at an event in Utah. He was talking shortly before it about gun violence. We will talk about what he's said about that in the past. We do know, unfortunately, his entire family, this includes his two children and his wife, were present during the shooting. He had just been asked a question on transgender rights when he was shot. We do have the picture of that on our Discord. I don't think we're going to bring that up. It's the last picture that I saw wasn't too bad, but it's quite clearly a violent and severe wound to the neck. Again, let me see if I can find they spoke with. Let's see. Yeah, they say he was answering questions about mass shooters. He actually was not. He was answering a question. He had answered one about mass shooters. In fact, he had written, I believe, an article that he had written for Media Matters about gun rights in the United States. He said, quote, "The Second Amendment is not about hunting. I love hunting. The Second Amendment is not even about personal defense. That is important. There is a Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is there, God forbid, so that you can defend yourself against a tyrannical government. And if that talk scares you, wow, that's radical, Charlie. I don't know about that. Well, you have to be..." He's talking about himself in the third person. Is that okay? Charlie Kirk. I'm going to have to. Oh, you know what? I can probably play that. That was a response to a question. So he also said that the price of freedom is that some people are going to get. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price, and that is part of liberty. It is worth the cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have a Second Amendment. So that was Charlie Kirk in 2023, speaking at a Media Matters event. He The shot was fired 12:20 local time. The shooter is in custody. He was taking a question on trans rights. He is in critical condition and, quote, "it does not look good." This is a colleague of his from Turning Point telling both CBS News and the BBC. So we do not know his actual condition. We haven't heard from a doctor or anyone else. We've only heard from someone who purportedly works at Turning Point, who says that his condition is not good. The wound looked extraordinarily serious. It was to the neck. It appears to have struck the main artery going up to the head. If that is hit, that's obviously, yeah. Let me see. There's been a lot on social media and a lot on X that has been very difficult. One of the first things that we saw was, oh my God, look, the Democrats just shot Charlie Kirk. We don't know who shot him. I would probably be willing to make some guesses as to political affiliation, but they'd really be uninformed guesses, and it seems like it's easy to be informed. But keep in mind, when Donald Trump was shot in the ear, he was shot by a conservative. There's all sorts of reasons for someone to do this, and whoever did this, I can't have been that Second Amendment. They had a gun. So, and I don't mean to be flippant, but, you know, this was done by somebody, this was done from far away by somebody who knows what they're doing with firearms. So that doesn't mean they're the conservative. We know nothing about who did this at this point. It's easy to make guesses. Again, it was easy when Trump was shot at too, but there are conservatives who've been very upset with Trump. So, and the reality is, a lot of ex-military have been very upset with Trump and the people around him recently. This is not to condone any violent attack on anyone, but we do not know who's done this. He has a group on Reddit. That group has been set to private. It's so we cannot see the conversations that are going on there. The group was public as of an hour ago. It has now been set to private for, I think, obvious reasons. Yeah, the university says it was a single shot fired from about 200 yards away. I don't know. We do have a picture on the Discord. You can go to the Discord and see it. It should probably be put into the explicit section if it's not already there, although actually I think the explicit section is primarily Ukraine. The description is a tremendous amount of blood, and the wound, we have a picture of the second of the wound, so before the blood could actually come out. So it's just a still from a video, and you can see the wound. It's right there. It does not appear to have hit his what is, oh wow, his the windpipe, but it does appear to have hit exactly where his the vein in the neck running up to the head would be. So if at 200 yards, yeah, I don't. Well, at 200 yards, so he was on stage and at a microphone. I don't know. It would be speculating as to whether or not he was deliberately hit in the neck or the shooter would have gone for the head. I would have assumed, but that's an extraordinarily serious wound from what I saw. Again, right now we know he's in critical condition. That's all we know. We do have somebody from Turning Point has said that it quote does not look good. That means whatever you think it means. I honestly don't know. This, meanwhile, 3 confirmed injured at a school shooting in Denver, Colorado. We don't know how many shooters there are. The fact that they even said that we don't know how many shooters there are is interesting to me, because normally it's, at least in the public and in the media, assumed that there's one. The police obviously would never make that assumption, but the media usually makes that assumption, so I'm curious why the media is saying we don't know. The shot was right in the jugular vein. Let's see, conservative. Seconds before he was shot, Kirk was on video answering questions about transgender mass. Oh, so he was talking about transgender mass shooters in America. He had been invited to speak by a student group. My understanding, okay, that's coming from CNN. The BBC is saying that this was actually a turning point event. I would trust the BBC over CNN by a long shot. President Donald Trump is calling for prayers. The president has previously praised Kirk as critical to his gains among young voters in last year's presidential election, and that praise is justified. Kirk did, in fact, was responsible for getting a lot of younger voters on board. Again, he's a co-founder of Turning Point, which is not as influential as the Heritage Foundation, but pretty close. And both of them, I think, more influential even than the NRA in terms of actual pull and weight. The NRA has a tremendous amount of pull and weight, but only over one issue. Both Turning Point and Heritage Foundation dominate the conservative agenda in this country. It is set by... and Turning Point had it was, I forget who, I want to say it was Pam Bondi, but it may not have been recently at a Turning Point convention who said, who here is sick of the Epstein nonsense? And everybody booed, and she goes, no, I didn't ask for booze. And it's just like, yeah, but in general, it's I'm trying to think of a Democratic equivalent to Turning Point. I have no doubt there is one, but I can't think of it. So let's see. Utah Valley University. Suspect is in custody. It was a shot fired from about 200 yards away. Let me see if the BBC seems to be keeping up with this better than anybody else, which is interesting because they have to keep up through an affiliate in the U.S. They don't, I guess, okay, so they're using CBS as their affiliate. We have some pictures. We'll put those on the Discord. Basically, it's all what you'd expect. It's people running. We don't know how quickly it took to treat him, and again, we do not know his current status. I will check the live chat just to see if we've got any super chats and to just catch up with people in a minute. Again, the White House has been informed. He was a close personal friend of Donald Trump and is credited with bringing Trump the youth vote. It's a difficult position to sit there and say, well, without him, Trump wouldn't have been elected. I think that's true. Without Charlie Kirk, Trump probably would not have won the election. Having said that, without a lot of people, Trump wouldn't have won the election. Charlie Kirk was very much behind the Trump agenda. He was a supporter of the far-right elements of the Trump agenda, which would include, I mean, Trump. Trump was not even necessarily pro-Second Amendment. He adopted that at the behest of the Heritage Foundation. The first thing that he said was, we have to do something about guns in this country. And then the Heritage Foundation took him aside, and then he came back and said, no, guns are fine. We have to do something about mental health in this country. It's just like, oh, I don't know if you guys remember that. But Have more soldiers been dispatched to U.S. cities? We don't know yet. We're expecting that this week. Trump has said he's going to do it this week. It's going to be Chicago. We had a discussion yesterday about the murder in Charlotte, North Carolina. That was of a Ukrainian refugee, and that murder has been picked up by the New York Times just recently, but not for the murder, but for how the murder has become a rallying cry for the far right. It was a black man murdering a white woman, and the argument has unfortunately been proffered quite significantly over X in particular that it's because black men are somehow more violent. It has also proffered the notion in general on the right that there's too much violence and crime in cities, and if a Ukrainian refugee isn't safe in the U.S., who is? Which is amazing because we're deporting refugees from other country. Garcia is a refugee from Venezuela, and he had legal status, which is something that for whatever reason the right has a hard time either remembering or caring about. He was legally a refugee. He had very good reasons to fear for his life, and nobody seemed to mind sending him to 𝐍𝐤𝐜𝐿𝐴, where he was going to be raped, tortured, and probably murdered. We have a rather selective view of who it's okay to murder and under what circumstances. I'd also like to point out, and Legal Eagle just did a great video on, and this has been dropped in the Discord too, on the fact that Trump is guilty of murder in the killing of 10 civilians aboard a boat, which he authorized the destruction of that boat, despite the fact that we are not at war with Venezuela. We were not at war with the people in the boat, and the people in the boat were all civilians. They were not military. You cannot blow up a civilian boat. I don't care if it's a crime lord on the boat. That's not how the military works. It's oddly reminiscent of the movie Clear and Present Danger, to be quite honest with you. And I've been sort of thinking about that movie as not Clear and Present Danger. Yeah, Clear and Present Danger. The idea of the president deciding that for personal or politically expedient reasons, he's going to use the military against civilian targets, drug targets in other countries, which is illegal, very illegal. And by the way, I'd like to point out, when we've had Republicans who've been very concerned when Obama targeted an American civilian. It was an enemy combatant, but he was an American enemy combatant with a drone. And I said, okay, well, he was an American. He was entitled to due process, even though we were at war with the American was actually fighting for the other side. But if it's a civilian, then we can target them with aerial drones. It was an aerial drone that took out the ball. I don't know. So let me just see if we've learned anything else. He had been asked the transgender question. The question, okay. Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters in the last 10 years? Kirk answers, too many. The same audience member went on to say that the number is 5 and asked Kirk how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years. Kirk, counting or not counting gang violence. Seconds later, there was he was shot and recoiled and fell back. This is CNN reminding people that the vast majority of mass attacks in the U.S. have no connection to transgender people. From January 2013 to present, of the more than 5,700 mass shootings in America, defined as 4 or more victims shot and killed, 5 have been confirmed as transgender, according to the Gun Violence Archive. 5 were transgendered out of 5,700. I think was the point that they were trying to make. Utah Valley has closed the campus and canceled all classes until further notice. They have issued an active shooter warning, but that warning appears to be an error since the shooter is in custody and there does not appear to be another. So well, let me rephrase that. It's an error. I think they issued it. It got out late, and they just said, okay, there has been an active shooting, and so they're locking the campus is I think what's happening. But they appear to have suggested that there is an active shooter, and that is incorrect. The shooter is in custody. There is only one suspect, and they have them. As to what's happening in... All right, so Broadcast Cat is saying that Charlie Kirk is dead. I do not have another source on that, but Broadcast Cat has been accurate in the past, so, and would not be telling me if didn't have a reliable source. I am going to try to find another source, but see Discord, no show. Okay, wow. Okay, so we're going to have to. Okay, we're going to go back and look at all of our facts from the beginning and double check, because BBC says that let's see, BBC said that it was in custody. Watch the crowd flee. I don't need to see that. Person in custody has been released. The person who was taken into custody was not the shooter. So, thank you, Titan. That is correct. The police took somebody into custody. They said that they had the active shooter in custody. He has been released. He was not the shooter. It looks like that would be why the campus is on lockdown. So we believe the campus is on lockdown, and they are looking now at an active shooter. He doesn't appear to be shooting anybody else, but the shooter is active. Nobody knows where he is. All right, so they do not have the shooter, and we have one report unconfirmed that Kirk is dead. That would not be shocking given that, all right, so based on video, they had detained someone, and but they have released the person. The Charlie Kirk shooter is not in custody. What I'd also like to do, let me just see, we know that he was a good friend of Donald Trump, and that Trump was asking for and offering prayers for Charlie Kirk, a colleague of his. He's a co-founder of Turning Point, the right-wing, far-right, right-wing, is it a media organization? I'm going to say it's a media organization. He's a conservative activist, published a number of books. Let's see, Marina Minus from Turning Point USA, the group that he co-founded, said that he was shot in the neck at the hospital and it did not look good. We have one unconfirmed report that he has since died. The shot looked extraordinarily serious. It's very hard to imagine him surviving. Witnesses described that he had been taking a question on transgender gun violence when he was shot, again from about 200 yards away. All right, thank you, 𝐒𝐚𝐬. Yeah, we have to get some confirmation on that. I wouldn't, given the nature of the wound, it wouldn't surprise me, although, depending on how quickly it got dealt with. I mean, the problem is if it went completely through the jugular vein, just right through it and obliterated it, I don't see how unless he's literally in a hospital right then and there, and they can take a vein from somewhere else. I don't see how you keep him alive. Um, okay. Turning Point. Actually, now that so Turning Point USA is an American nonprofit organization that advocates for conservative policies on high school, college, and university campuses. Yeah. And he's currently their leader. So he not only co-founded, he's actually the leader. Apologies, we should have known that. I should have known that and put that out. He's currently the leader of Turning Point USA, a conservative group that has advocated specifically in one of his goals was specifically to make conservatism, which has typically been, younger people tend to be more liberal. He targeted specifically high schools and colleges to try to move them towards the conservative side of the spectrum, and that was part of the goal of Turning Point USA. And the public has determined that the police have determined that the person who was taken into custody after the shooting was not actually the shooter, according to a university spokesman. The university had said earlier that a suspect was in custody, and video showed an older man being detained by police officers. It is confirmed that the police had detained someone, but they let the person go. Meanwhile, Evergreen High School in Colorado confirms 3 students hurt. We still do not know how many shooters there are. This is at a high school. That shooting that took place at 12:40 p.m. The Jefferson County Emergency Communications Department got a report of an active shooter in the Evergreen High School. All 3 students have suffered gunshot wounds and are in critical condition. So the St. Anthony's Hospital is reporting. They are a level 1 trauma center. They are reporting 3 victims, all minors from Evergreen, all shot. So we are covering both of those simultaneously. We do not have any new information on the shooter. I don't think we have any more. I'm gonna. Nope. It's still three students shot in Evergreen High School in Denver, Colorado. It is not clear who the shooter or shooters are, according to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. House Speaker Mike Johnson has said that he will hold a moment of silence in the chamber for Charlie Kirk. Okay. Thank you for that. That's interesting. I can think of a number of equally prominent people on the left who probably would not get a moment of silence, but okay. I don't want to, and I'd like to point out, his family was there. He has two kids and a wife. They were present. This was some kind of debate. We don't know yet if it was a Turning Point USA sponsored event at the Utah campus or if he was there from somebody. It's hard to say. We do know he is a close ally of Donald Trump. He knows Trump personally. He is a friend of Trump's. He has visited Trump. We had a list of the number of times he's visited privately with Donald Trump. I don't know. I don't have the list, but yeah, that's a good point. Right now, basically, we have Charlie Kirk, who has, worked hard, founded an organization, a right-wing organization that seeks to educate people in his views and values, who has been shot while speaking at an event in which he was invited to attend. That is obviously a tragedy. We also have 3 high school students who have been shot in Denver, Colorado. The Speaker of the House will be issuing a moment of silence for the right-wing conservative co-founder of Turning Point, and as to the other 3 students who were shot, he'll leave the prayers and wishes to other people, I suppose. We have one unconfirmed report that and confirmed by Donald Trump himself, Charlie Kirk has died. President Donald J. Trump has posted to his Truth Media social platform, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead." Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, was shot during a event in Utah, at Utah University campus earlier this afternoon. He is confirmed dead. Donald Trump has said it. I'm assuming it's accurate, but I've got to tell you, I normally wouldn't consider that even confirmation. Trump says a lot of things. Trump was a close personal friend of Charlie Kirk, who co-founded Turning Point USA and was the leader of Turning Point USA, an organization designed to, quote, educate college and high school students in conservative values and thinking. He died today after being shot in the neck while attending a debate in Utah on a transgender, and was being asked a question about transgender shooters. CNN followed up that question. So he had been asked, how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters in the last 10 years? He said, too many. The correct answer is 5. Too many shooters in general, but 5 is the correct answer. He was then asked, do you know how many mass shootings there have been over the last 10 years? CNN has fact-checked this and said that from January 2013 to present, if you define a mass shooting as 4 or more victims shot and killed, then there have been 5,700 mass shootings in America from 2013 to present. 5 of those were confirmed transgender. That is less than 1/1000th. Yes, apparently it is Trump on Truth Social who is confirming that Charlie Kirk has died. It is hard to imagine him surviving the wound as we saw it. It appeared to go right through the jugular vein. There is a jugular ventricle as well. It appeared to go through the jugular vein. And it was a reasonably large-sized hole, and it's hard to imagine. The Washington Post is confirming that he has died. So we got that from the Washington Post. Let's see, right-wing activist and co-founder of Turning Point USA, conservative activist and right-wing, I keep adding, I don't know why I keep adding that, conservative activist and founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, dies after being shot at a Utah event. Meanwhile, we have 3 children in critical condition in a hospital in Denver, having been shot. They were at the Evergreen High School. We do not know whether there is still a shooter. We don't know what the status is. Most of our news feeds are getting sucked into this Charlie Kirk thing, and I respect the fact that he is an accomplished individual, despite the fact he's accomplished in things I don't approve of. He's an accomplished individual. Nonetheless, there at least was an active shooter in a Denver school at the exact same time that we're having this discussion, and I do think that that's important. But unfortunately, the Speaker of the House, as well as a great many other people, have been emphasizing Charlie Kirk over that. I'm going to see if we have anything else from the. No, everything is being sucked into. Shooting took place at Buffalo Park Road, Evergreen. All right, we'll get back to the school in a second. Did the shooter? We don't. So they had someone in custody that they believed was the shooter. They released the person. The shooter is no longer, his whereabouts are not known. The Utah University campus is on lockdown with an active shooter warning as they try to locate the shooter. My guess, they're not going to take the risk, but my guess is he has fled and is long out of there. This was, let's be clear, this was an assassination. As far as I can tell, I mean, I'm issuing my personal, this was an assassination at 200 yards. This had to be a rifle. This had to be someone who knew what they were doing and could kill somebody in one shot. So this was a planned, this was not a mass shooter event. The university is nonetheless locked down, as well it should be. So I'm not trying to criticize it, but I am suggesting that I don't think there's going to be a worry. The guy's gone. He knew what he was doing. He may or may not have had an escape route because he may have thought it'd just get caught right off the bat. But at any rate, I don't think he's interested in hurting anyone else. Donald J. Trump put this out on Truth Social about 8 minutes ago. The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and his family. Charlie, we love you. Again, he was a close personal friend of the president. For those who are just joining us, Charlie Kirk has been shot and killed in what appears to be an assassination attempt. He appears to have been assassinated during an event at Utah where he was speaking. He had just been asked about transgender shooters and how many there were and what percentage of the mass shooting population they make up. He was answering the question when the shooter fired from about 200 yards, hit him in the neck, appearing to hit his jugular vein, and he was taken to the hospital and has since died. He was the co-founder and manager of Turning Point USA. That is a right-wing organization that tries to increase the number of conservatives in the youth, as Donald Trump pointed out. He was considered instrumental in getting young Americans to vote for Donald Trump. He was I have to be a little careful about using conservative and right-wing interchangeably. There have been times when I think you can get away with that and times when you can't. And I also want to be a little careful because I do want to pay respect to the fact that the man has just died and that his family was present at his assassination. Having said that, he did also notably point out that gun violence is the price we pay for living in a free society. And believe it or not, I would strongly suspect that if anyone were to ask his family, they would say that if he were alive, knowing that he would die at the hands of gun violence, he would still stand by that value. I believe he came by those values honestly, so, is what it is. Let me quickly... all right, thank you for that. So let me quickly check. Like I said, I want to check Michelle Ferguson, live chat, super chat, $9.99 for the electric and internet bill. Thank you, Nick and Mods. You're very welcome. Thank you for your support. It's been... Jadzilla pointed this out, and I think this is... I am no longer going to talk about when our next scheduled broadcast is, because every time I say our next scheduled broadcast is yada, 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 9 p.m., whatever, that is when we suddenly get 16 breaking news. Right now, for those of you just joining us, we're actually covering two stories. First is in Denver, Colorado. There's been a shooting at a school. 3 children have been shot. The local hospital has a level 1 trauma center and is reporting 3 students there, all with gunshot injuries. We don't know anything else. The problem is the Charlie Kirk shooting has sucked all of the oxygen out of the news, and it's very hard to find anything about the school shooting in Denver. Having said that, too, I mean, we used to cover every school shooting, and it got to a point. I was watching Bill, not wow, I almost not Bill Maher. I was watching Jon Stewart, and it was interesting because I now host my own show, and it was interesting him talking about the gambit of feelings that he was getting every time would go through school shootings. And those of you who have seen In Time all the way since the beginning know that the first few ones I got very, very angry, and I would be livid as I would be talking about the numbers as they came in. And then I went through a phase where I was very sad. And then I went through a phase where I was like, neither of those feelings changed anything. And my job is to educate. That's what we do here. And so I will continue to do that as best I can. But it got where it was so taxing to cover the number of school shootings and to always feel sad about it and always feel angry about it. And it didn't get anything accomplished, and we could tell people to talk to their congressmen and senators, but the NRA is so powerful, and it's just what to do. So we stopped covering them. But at this point, we have Charlie Kirk, who was a far right-wing pundit and founder of Turning Points USA, which is a far right-wing group. They do the straw polls where they're like, who do you want to be the Republican nominee? And they take the Republicans take that poll very, very seriously, and whoever wins that poll has a huge head start in the actual nominating process. Turning Point has become almost as powerful as the Heritage Foundation, and I would argue is more powerful than the NRA. He is the co-founder of Turning Point USA, and he was the current head of Turning Point USA. He was speaking today at an event at Utah University, and was shot through the neck and died. He was shot at a range of about 200 yards. They do not know. They had a suspect in custody, but later released the person when they realized the person had not actually fired. Let's see, and we have Charlie Kirk is also largely responsible for helping Trump get in office. He was a close personal friend of Trump. He had gone to Trump's home and to Mar-a-Lago multiple times. As we have been following that, we also learned that there is an active shooter at a school in Denver. We don't know if they're an active shooter. We know 3 students have been shot. 3 students have been taken to a level 1 trauma center in Colorado, and that center has reported taking in 3 students with gunshot wounds. But we haven't been able to follow up because everything is Charlie Kirk, and even Speaker Johnson has said that he's going to have a moment on the House floor for Kirk, who was assassinated today in Utah. That's great. Is he going to take any moments for the 3 children right now who are in hospitals and their parents who are worried that they may not make it because of a active shooter in Denver? I'd like to understand the difference. I would like to have someone explain to me why Charlie Kirk is going to get a moment in Congress of silence and the students are going to get a decade of it. I want to know why that's going to be. At any rate, this is according to let's see. Youth activist organization was fatally shot. Utah Valley. Sorry, so it wasn't Utah. It was Utah Valley University. Okay, that's from Donald J. Trump. Trump has confirmed the death. We've also gotten the death confirmed from Washington Post and several other sources by this point. Kirk 31 emerged as one of the most prominent voices on the right, gaining an audience of millions of listeners between his daily talk show and social media channels. He rose to prominence in conservative circles largely by holding events on college campuses, at which he debated liberal students. He developed a close relationship with Trump in the recent years and was a regular presence at Mar-a-Lago in the winter during Trump's transition to his second presidential term. He was shot through the neck and killed roughly 3 hours ago at a university in Utah where he was debating various students. The question was actually about trans shooters when he was shot in the neck and killed. The suspect is not in custody. All right, so yeah, we have multiple sources confirming that he has in fact died. I'm still trying to, does anybody have any sources on what's happening in Denver? Again, the Speaker of the House is talking about this, but, and we had, I have a CBS affiliate in Denver, that has not updated, since 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago? 2 hours ago. Hasn't updated since, that's Mountain Time. All right, so they haven't updated since an hour ago. 3 students critically wounded. They were shot at Evergreen High School in Colorado. No motive, no idea who the suspect is, nothing. So, Nanology, I saw the uncut up close video. It looked fatal. Yeah, it did to me too. It didn't hit his windpipe, but it hit just to the left, and it looked large, and it looked like it went right through the jugular, and that big going through the jugular, he would have lost all blood flow to the brain basically immediately. I'm curious. It was either an extraordinarily lucky shot or it was a deliberate shot to the jugular. If somebody could hit the jugular, I don't know why they wouldn't go for the head. I'm not an expert in assassinations. I will say if you're hitting somebody at, thank you, Titan, if you're hitting somebody at 200 yards, they're still 3 or 2 hours back. So we have 2 shootings today. One is of 3 students shot at a Colorado high school, Evergreen High School in Denver. They are all at a level 1 trauma center as we speak. They're all in critical condition. We do not know if a shooter is in custody. We know absolutely nothing else. That's because there was an assassination. The person assassinated was Charlie Kirk. He is a prominent right-wing figure who was fatally shot in Utah while debating. He has a tendency to go and do sort of these live debates. Anyone could come up and ask him a question. He was being asked a question about trans shooters when he was fatally shot through the neck. That's what we have. So let me check and see one other source. Donald J. Trump has issued a statement. We'll read that in a minute. I'm also curious if, so it's Channel 6. We have NBC and ABC. None of them have. Okay, so for the school shooting, it literally says Channel 6, ABC, Action News, school shooting, 3 critically injured, suspect neutralized. And right below it is the breaking Charlie Kirk killed after, and they're showing everybody running at the Utah. It looks like they're running at from the school. It's not. I'm going to screenshot this. This is this is the ABC affiliate for Jefferson County, Colorado. And the local news is not covering the 3 high school students who've been shot. It's covering. I'm going to drop this link. I'm sorry. This is Charlie Kirk is dead. Yeah, this is Channel 6 News. Oh my God. This is so. Yeah, the initial we have the video, I believe, in the Discord if you want to see it. I don't. There's always kind of a morbid curiosity. I looked at it because that's what we do, and you took one look at the wound, and it was quite significantly to the neck. What I just dropped is a link to Channel 6 ABC News in Colorado. Now, this is the local Colorado affiliate, and because there's 2 stories we're covering right now. We are covering a school shooting. 3 students have been shot in a Colorado school in Denver, Colorado. It was the Evergreen High School, according to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. The local news has a story covering it. There is a banner. It says school shooting, and then it says 3 critically injured. And then right below that, they are covering Charlie Kirk killed after a shooting at Utah University, and they're showing the university being evacuated, and they're breaking with that. This is the local Denver affiliate. Wow. Charlie Kirk was a significant influencer, and very little tells you more about that than the local Denver ABC affiliate is covering his death more than the shooting of 3 students at their local high school, which has happened at the same time. And like I said, and I meant it, I'm delighted that Kirk is going to get a moment of silence on Congress. Why are these kids going to get a decade of silence by that same Congress? Because that's what they're going to get. All right. We will read. Donald J. Trump did know him well. So we do at this point. Okay, Colorado High School. The suspect has been neutralized. We don't know what that means. But we know that the suspect has been neutralized. So ostensibly there will be no more injured. There are 3 students critically injured. The Jefferson County Memorial has a level 1 trauma, and they are reporting that all 3 have been injured with gunshot wounds, and all 3 are critical. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk has died. He was shot through the neck while speaking at an event in Utah. He is the co-founder of Turning Point USA, and he was the manager of Turning Point USA. I have no idea what that means. I don't know what organizational structure they had. It didn't say CEO; it just said manager. Okay. According to a report 15 minutes ago, 3 students still in critical. All right, so at least we are reasonably confident in Denver as of this moment. There's going to be no more injuries than those 3 students. We don't know the status of the shooter other than the shooter has been, quote, neutralized, which means he is either in custody or he is dead. So we are not expecting any more to come out from Denver in regards to new injuries. We expect 3 to be the top. I do understand in terms of influence, Charlie Kirk is someone of considerable importance, especially on the right. So the fact that he has been assassinated is a very big deal. It's just weird that even the local affiliates, if you're a parent in Denver right now and you turn on the local news and it's talking about a shooting at a university in Utah, I'd be upset. What can you do? All right, let's see if I can find, yeah, I should be able to find Trump's comment on this again. And I will say, I detest Donald Trump. I do. I don't hide that. But this person was a friend of his. Donald J. Trump is human, and he appears to have lost a friend, and he appears to be taking this seriously. So my condolences to all those, and especially his family, who was in the audience when he was shot and killed. Donald J. Trump truthed this out about 26 minutes ago. The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth of the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all. Well, okay, I shouldn't make light, but I know that's not entirely true. But at any rate, especially me. And now he is no longer with us. Melania, and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and his family. Charlie, we love you. So the mood at the White House has been described as shocked. Again, he was a close friend to the president and essentially an advisor, and he was the head of Turning Point, which is a organization that is responsible for just about any conservative who gets elected in this country. Charlie Kirk had was behind the strategy of targeting typically liberal bastions, which would be high schools and universities, and trying to make them more conservative and trying to genuinely make being conservative cool, make it, a cool thing. It's cool to be hip and liberal. It's cool to be a conservative. And Turning Point was instrumental in the success that they had in accomplishing that. Yeah, that's Trump. Let's see. He had been asked about mass shootings right before being fired. We do know that. The police are still looking for the attacker. 3 sources familiar with the investigation have told CBS News, the BBC's U.S. partner, that, thank God it's CBS and not CNN. The search for the suspect is still ongoing. A further law enforcement source says that the police have not yet declared the scene safe for the public. That would coincide with what we've seen, which is that the president has put the entire university on active shooter lockdown. We have said before, we believe that this was a targeted shooting, so we don't believe that the shooter is interested in harming anyone else. Having said that, they have an active shooter on campus, so an active shooter lockdown is entirely appropriate. The Utah University says that everyone on campus must secure in place until the police can safely escort individuals off the campus. So what they're doing is they're evacuating building by building, and the police are covering people as they are evacuating. I think that this is just a security measure, a safety measure. I don't think it's still wise. They should do it, but this appears to have been an assassination. He appears to have been targeted. He was killed by a single shot. I heard through the grapevine that it was multiple shooters. Which shooting? The Denver one or the Utah one? The Utah one, everything I've heard is single shooter, single shot at 200 yards. The wound that I saw was a single shot to the neck, and I have heard nothing that would indicate that they're even concerned about a second shooter. The school was odd. The school in Denver said shooter or shooters, and I have never seen it. It wasn't even just that the school said that. The CBS report said that. And the media, as I said earlier when we first started reporting on Denver, the media doesn't speculate usually that there's multiple shooters. in that sense. When there's a mass shooting, usually it's one. There have been incidents of two and something planned, but usually it's one. And the media just lazily assumes one, and that's it. The fact that they said shooters suggested to me that somebody implied that there was more than one shooter. But I've seen nothing that actually says that. In fact, actually, no. The police report said that the shooter was neutralized, and they used the singular. So, as of this moment, my assumption is that it's a single shooter in both instances. Sinister Porpoise, $2 for any needed celebrations and or therapies. Thank you, as always, Sinister Porpoise, both for the super chat and for brightening the mood. Much appreciated. Thank you. So, no, I don't. I don't think. Yeah, we're going to have to. In fact, speaking of, okay. So where do we stand? And then I think we're going to wrap this up. First of all, come join us on the Discord, and you can see how we operate as a news channel. You can also see all of the news as we got it coming through the Discord. We have two shootings that we went breaking with today live. The first was a shooting at let's see, what school? Evergreen High School in Denver, Colorado. There were 3 students who've been shot. They're currently listed in critical condition at a local hospital in a level 1 trauma center. I think it's the Jefferson County Memorial Hospital. We have had a very hard time getting any information about what's going on there, even from their local affiliates, because their local stations have actually been covering the national shooting. We're literally at the local affiliate's website. I dropped a link to the Channel 6 ABC News, where ABC was covering it, and ABC said, here's the high school news, and then and that was the text from like 3 hours ago, and then the actual video was covering the national shooting, which I'll get to in a second. So we have not been able to keep up with that. All we know is that 3 students are in critical condition in a level 1 trauma, all having been shot, from Evergreen High School in Denver, Colorado. We also know that the suspect has been neutralized. We don't know what that means. That means either the suspect is in custody, or probably more likely, I would assume that the suspect is dead. Maybe there was a officer there. I don't know. But the suspect has been neutralized. So that is the first shooting event that we have been covering. The second shooting event is the Charlie Kirk shooting. Charlie Kirk was 31. He was a right-wing activist. He founded Turning Point USA, which anyone who follows this channel has heard of repeatedly. We cover a number of their events. One of their events turned a little ugly when they actually, and this was major news, because Turning Point is very supportive of Donald Trump. They are at least as far to the right as Heritage Foundation, maybe even further than Heritage Foundation. They're not quite as influential as Heritage, but they're more influential than the NRA. It's a lot of people on the right, maybe on the left, haven't heard of it, but it's a hugely influential organization, probably the second most powerful organization on the right behind Heritage Foundation. Turning Point, we covered them recently when the White House press secretary, I think, had been there and had said, everyone here clap who wants to just drop the Epstein investigation. And she was booed for that, which was a sign that even MAGA at Turning Point wanted to see the investigation continue. So anyways, he was the leader of Turning Point. He had a podcast that had over 1 million followers and had published a number of books. He was shot in the neck about 4 hours ago while speaking at, he had been invited to speak at a Utah Valley Utah Valley University in Utah. He was shot in the neck and pronounced dead a short while ago. So those are the two shootings that we have to cover. His family was unfortunately with him when it happened. They were in the front row, saw the entire thing. So the shooter there has not yet been found. They had someone in custody who was believed to be the shooter. The police have released the person now, aware that he was not the shooter, and they're searching for the shooter. Utah. The Utah Valley University is currently in active shooter lockdown, and the buildings are being evacuated one by one as the police can go up and let them go. The Otherhood IQ and Race Science says in time, Kirk, now what? What are the consequences of such an action? What are the consequences of it? One of the things that we saw very early on, and we posted a few of these, X has exploded with hatred and vitriol towards the left. One of the first posts that I saw showed him falling back, clutching at his neck, saying, Democrats just shot Charlie Kirk. We have no idea who shot Charlie Kirk. There was a similar situation when Donald Trump was shot, and everyone assumed it was somebody on the left, and it turned out to be somebody on the right. Has been pointed out that there are the number of people, and we have not been covering this as well as I'd like, so we should cover more. The former military, retired military who have been protesting and being arrested, and they've been protesting on the floor of Congress over either the Epstein files or the use of force by President Donald Trump, including what every lawyer I've spoken to has described as Donald J. Trump's murder of 10 people on a boat. The military cannot engage civilians, especially unarmed ones, and we're not at war with Venezuela. So, his thinly veiled, well, I've declared war on the cartels, that doesn't really cut it. So, I would not be surprised if this was somebody actually on the right, former vet or something like that. I'd be a little more surprised if it was somebody on the left. The left is certainly capable of doing horrible things. We all are. But the left tends to go about it in different ways. But, we don't know. Right now, I am concerned about how the right is reacting. This man was beloved. So we'll see. Nobody knows who the shooter is. I will say this. The shooter is an individual. It's a great question, by the way, so thank you for that, Dr. Reverend Mr. IQ. The shooter is an individual, and individuals may represent or may believe ideologies, but they don't represent everybody of that ideology. Charlie Kirk, we have a conservative who is a co-host on this show who despises Trump. You can't just say, well, if it turns out that he was assassinated by a liberal, it's not a liberal who believed in anything that any of the liberals that I know believed in. If he was assassinated by a homeless vet, I think you'd find that a conservative, you'd find conservatives saying the same thing. So I don't know what the fallout's going to be. My hope is it's going to be civility. We've seen a lot of political assassinations, and this appears to be a political assassination. When JFK was assassinated, the damage done to this country was catastrophic. They had to put machine gun turrets at the White House and at the Capitol building. So if you go, there's pictures of the Capitol building, and on either side, machine gun nests. That's how bad it got. I'm not anticipating that here. I'm hoping we're not going to see anything like that. I think what the reaction is going to be determined largely by how the gunman identifies. And again, that's how the gunman identifies. That doesn't mean But I'm cautiously optimistic that we will settle this peacefully. Trump did not give a response to the death that addressed that issue. You'd hope a leader would. But he didn't inflame things either, which is somewhat unusual for Trump. Which, again, to me, almost humanized it, because I was like, this was somebody that Trump did care about. So I think we're going to have to wait and see. We're going to keep an eye on it. But thank you for the question. I think it was a very good question, and I think we'll keep an eye on it. I think also, quite frankly, Turning Point would absolutely want to I don't want to say milk this, because I think he was genuinely cared about, and I don't want to make it sound that cynical, but I think they're going to want to take this and say, okay, how can we use this now going forward? But I think that they would want to try to do that in a positive way. I don't think they would sit there and say, oh, let's start some race riots over this. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't agree with them ideologically on anything, but I don't think they're going to want to do that. So they're going to want to see what he would want. I think they're going to consider that greatly, because I think he was very much loved. But I think I don't think he would want that. And like we said earlier, there have been a number of points made that he was for guns and now he's just been assassinated. But I think I would venture a guess that everybody who knew him would say that even if he knew he would die at the hands of gun violence, he would still have been for the Second Amendment. It's too easy for us to just sit there and say that, but he made his views clear, and most of us, when we feel that passionately about something, so I don't think he can be strawman that way. So my hope is, and my expectation is, his organization will be calm about it, and they'll ask his followers to be calm about it, and we'll see who gets arrested, how, and why. So that's it. Again, quick rundown. The 2 shootings that we've had today, 3 high school students shot in Denver, Colorado. They are in the emergency room right now in critical condition. We have been unable to get any updates on them because of the national shooting. Charlie Kirk, a right-wing activist, co-founder of Turning Point USA, and the current manager of Turning Point USA, and with a podcast of over 1 million followers, was shot in the neck and killed while talking in Utah earlier today. He was a close personal friend to Donald Trump. Trump did issue a notice, and I do want to read that one more time. And then I'll also point out that the Speaker of the House has said that he's going to have a moment of silence for Charlie. I've noticed not for the high school kids. Of course, they weren't killed, but there's too much to process in that. I'm gonna read the Trump statement, and then actually I'm gonna quickly double check my make sure that there's nothing else I need to update, and then we'll let it go. So Donald J. Trump truthed out a little over 30 minutes ago. The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me. And now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and his family. Charlie, we love you. That was Donald J. Trump just about 30 minutes ago. And I think I want to check one more. No, I gotta. If Mowdy is still in the audience, sounds good. I got the thing. I think I'd be up for that. Yeah, just hit me up with a time. I got to double check. And am I caught up with everything? I am caught up with that. Gotta check. I appreciate everyone bearing with me. Yeah. Okay. So we've still got the suspect in the Denver, Colorado shooting was neutralized, which I take to mean he has been killed. No confirmation on that, just that the police say he was neutralized. So these 3 students are the only ones we expect to be injured. As to the suspect in the Charlie Kirk shooting, he is still at large. He shot Charlie Kirk from about 200 yards, hit him in the neck. He did not survive the wound. And as of this moment, the university is on active shooter lockdown. They are evacuating the buildings one by one under police cover. And again, my suspicion is he is long gone, but it's wise to take those precautions. So the rest you'll have to learn in Discord. If there's anything else that's urgent, we will definitely go breaking with it. 𝐬𝐬 has invited me onto his channel 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. So I will be joining him for that, for nostalgia's sake. Let's see if we can get a link. Yeah, you got a wrench there, 𝐬𝐬, so you should be able to drop a link if you don't mind, or if anyone happens to have one handy. Other than that, I think we've got it all covered. I hope everyone takes care. My hope is the fallout from this is not too catastrophic, and but again, we'll keep an eye on it. So we have a show that is scheduled for the future. We hope you will come join us for that show. I am not going to tell you when that show is, and the reason is because every time I say we have a show scheduled at X, Y, and that's our next show, we go live with breaking news, and I'm starting to think it's my fault. So I'm not going to tell you when the next scheduled show is, but there is another scheduled show. And I hope you're going to join us for that. Hope you join us on the Discord. Do become a member. All your support really does help. And see you soon, I'm sure. If not, at 8 p.m. tonight on at or near 𝐬𝐬's dinner table. Have a good night.